NFL star Michael Vick is busted in a dog-fighting ring. Now authorities find dead dogs and undernourished pit bulls at rapper DMX's Arizona home. What in the world is going on here? Joining me now, attorney Ivan Golde, who represents current and former NFL coaches and players. Ivan, thanks for coming on.
It's good to be here.
You know, Ivan, it's another day and another story about dogs being mistreated by celebrities. First the quarterback, Michael Vick, now this rapper-turned-actor DMX, who has a rap sheet. He's pleaded guilty to animal cruelty back in 2002 of 13 dogs, and instead of jail time, all he had to do was come out and star in a public service announcement about animal abuse. I mean, eventually a big name's going to have to fall for this. Who's it going to be?
Well, let me tell you, the sentence should be appropriate. I agree with you. Animal cruelty is a bad thing. You have to understand dog fighting in some segments, in some parts of the United States, is like a sport. It's similar to horse racing. Somebody will take the fall, but again, it's an emotional issue. Vick should be sentenced appropriately, mitigating versus aggregating factors. He should be rehabilitated back into society, and that means playing in the NFL when released from prison. We cannot make a cruel, unnecessary example out of anyone just because they're a celebrity.
I got to just pick up on what you just said. Why do you think, if he's found guilty, that Michael Vick deserves to play football?
Michael Vick has pled guilty. He will be sentenced upon his release, and I believe his sentence will be 12 to 18 months, probably 12 months. He'll be released in 10 and a half months with good behavior. He absolutely should be able to play in the NFL. Many actors and artists and doctors, it's the American way, have made mistakes and come back. He should be able to work. That's how he can be rehabilitated back into society.
But why shouldn't he serve the maximum sentence of 5 years? Why are you going with such a short sentence when the law would give him 5?
Let me tell you why. He pled early in the proceedings. He has cooperated. He will show remorse. He has no priors. Those are facts.
He didn't really come out early. I mean, he had to wait until all his co-defendants basically bailed on him and started naming names and pointing the finger at Vick. So he really had no choice. It was either plea deal or go to trial, and that jury would probably not rule in his favor, and you know it.
Michael Vick absolutely had a choice. He had the constitutional right to go to trial. He chose to plea early. These 4 defendants all pled within a month of this indictment. If Michael Vick were a carpenter, would you deny him the fact to be a carpenter? Merely because he plays in the National Football League and has a special skill, why should he be denied the ability to work?
He has a special skill, but he also has a special right as a celebrity to set a good example. And so now that if you've been convicted of something like the animal cruelty that he is allegedly involved in, you should never be able, as far as I'm concerned, to set examples for kids, for sports fans, who many say, I couldn't even watch this guy play football knowing what he's done. It's hard to forget those things.
That the NFL community wants Michael Vick to play. People want to see this man play. He is one of the most exciting players in the league. He is a draw for the league. That is a fact. If he were a carpenter, he would not be denied employment. You say he's a role model. Perhaps he is.
Well,
he used to be. Michael Vick needs to rehabilitate his image. Absolutely, for the good of the league, for the good of the NFL commissioner. Absolutely, and I think he will do that.
All right, wait,
and
real quick.
Return to the
I'm going to bring my legal panel in, but the last time I interviewed you, you defended Michael Vick, and you did say to me that you don't think he'll ever serve jail time. Do you take that back?
I believe Michael Vick will serve time, I think minimal time in a federal facility. I think he will be in a halfway house, some sort of low security camp, perhaps a bracelet. I think he will serve some time in custody. I think all 4 of these co-defendants will.
All right.
But I think Michael Vick will be out pretty soon and will be back on that field where he should be, I might add, Julie.
All right, here's the question, though. Could this just be the tip of the iceberg? I want you to stand by, Ivan. We've got my legal panel here. Fox News legal analyst Mercedes Colwin, former prosecutor Paul Callan here in studio with me, and defense attorney Jeff Brown joining the panel as well. Thank you all for coming on. Jeff, I'm going to go to you first. You just listened to Ivan and his defense, at least what he thinks would be best suitable for Vick after he is punished for a crime he allegedly committed.
Well,
do you agree with him?
Not at all. I didn't agree with a single thing that he said. First of all, to compare this to horse racing is ludicrous. They're not having horses fight each other to the death. Secondly, this case involved gambling. That's the NFL's prohibition against all its athletes that says you cannot gamble on any other sport. And to say Michael Vick was not gambling is just absolutely burying your head in the sand. Michael Vick organized this. He was the leader of this. He bought this house. He bought these dogs. He trained these dogs, all for the purpose of illegal dog fighting. Whether he bet on them or not is absolutely immaterial according to the law. He's an organizer leader. Not only is he going to do 12 to 18 months, I think the judge is going to depart upward. He's going to sentence him as an organizer leader, and I bet he does more than 18 months.
Ivan, your reaction to him?
Look, a judge's role is to be a buffer between an outraged society while balancing the rights of the defendant.
And
this judge will not
5 years.
Please, this judge will not end Michael Vick's career. And as far as gambling, Alex Karras and Paul Hornung bet on NFL games. And you know what their suspension was? 1 season. I am not condoning what Michael Vick did. Gambling was an issue.
I mean, there is no
mistake.
possible way that Vick is going to be in that football field. There's no possible way. Not a single owner of a football team will put him on there, because you know why? You're going to have advertisers pull out. You're going to have boycotts. You're going to have individuals say, this man is not fit to play.
Listen,
He's as much as going to play on that football field as I am. So you know that's never going to happen.
Julie, I've been a part of the national. I've been affiliated and associated with NFL players for over 20 years. And let me tell you something. A sponsor, a fan, is not going to refuse to buy beer sponsored in an NFL game because Michael Vick is playing in the NFL. It's just not going to happen.
Let me ask. Go ahead.
Let me ask. Isn't it a fact that regardless of his God-given ability as a football player, he has so abused his right to play that sport, to act as a public figure, that he should be banned from the sport? Where do you draw the line? Any place?
That is a fair question. And there have been athletes who have been convicted of all sorts of heinous crimes. As you mentioned, manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter, drug cases, domestic violence cases.
Yeah, I'm asking you where you draw the line, Ivan. I'm asking where you draw the line. Isn't there a line to be drawn here?
Yes, of course there is. And
well, where do you draw it? He tortured dogs. He soaked these dogs in water, electrocuted some of them. He hung other dogs. It was an act of such extraordinary cruelty to think that he should be put on the public field again to act as an example for our children is just so beyond imagination.
You've got to be kidding. I don't understand what you are saying. The goal of society is to rehabilitate offenders, allow them to work. Why would you deprive this man the ability to work?
You know that there's a morality clause. Ivan, there's a morality clause. So therefore, Vick is not like your carpenter example, because carpenters don't have morality clauses in their contract. If you're going to pay someone $35 million a year, you better make sure that they are moral and they're fit to be a role model for our children.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
When
the
you talk
Falcons
about a
signed him
carpenter,
to a huge contract.
Final word to Jeff.
I don't know why they weren't aware of this.
When you talk about a carpenter, you're using an improper analogy. Let's just say that the carpenter was cheating other people while he was doing the work for them at their homes. Should he go back to being a carpenter? Absolutely not.
All right, that's all the time.
Better analogy.
Ivan Golde, thank you very much for going up against this legal panel. I know that was an interesting one for you, but thanks for being a good sport and coming on. I appreciate it. Fair and balanced is why I wanted to have you on, so thank you.